Welcome to the BS Show. Are you ready to shoot the... The BS Show would like to thank their sponsors. Jack Cameron, accredited mortgage professional. Jack can show you the way home. Graco Impact Sports, providing top-quality combat sport equipment tested and used by all levels of athletes. Dominate your world. RepoSales.ca, specializing in vehicle and equipment recovery, liquidation, and sales. Hemmings House Pictures, the global movement media makers, helping tell your brand story to the world and accelerate the momentum of your movement. Farmbox Films, capturing stories the way you want to remember them.
Greetings, fellow humans. Welcome back to the BS Show, Atlantic Canada's one and only podcast dedicated to combat sports and all other things hairy-chested and testosterone-fueled in Atlantic Canada. I am your host, Boyd Sharpe, and as always, I am joined in the studio with Mr. Skippy Cohen and my partner in crime, Mr. Rick Trash Canyon Doyle. Rick, how the hell are you doing, man? It's been way, way, way too long.
Well, I'm all bare-chested, unlike you. It has that little ring of hair around your nipples that looks ridiculous. I look like $1 million, man. You look like an idiot without your shirt on, but it's good to be back, boy. Thanks for asking.
Well, listen, like I told you before, when you spend more time managing your body hair than you do your ground game, you know the kind of fighter you're going to be. So leave that there.
Not only am I good, I also look good, Boyd. So don't be a hater.
Listen, man, we got a great show tonight. We have an awesome show tonight because we have something unique happening. That's not a word that I throw around often, but we do have something very special going to happen on the 23rd of January in a little town of New Glasgow, Nova Scotia. We got some dudes out there. There's a sister club to Titans MMA out of Halifax, Nova Scotia, which is a Henzo Gracie club. They have two black belts, Peter Martell and Kevin Taylor, out of there. And their sister club in New Glasgow has a guy by the name of Cat Clark. He lived in Toronto for a number of years. He was an event promoter up there. He's a purple belt, training out of New Glasgow, and he got the bright idea that he would try to host an international caliber submission-only grappling tournament in New Glasgow. I mean, that's kind of like setting up a water skiing competition in the deserts of Nevada. It's just a completely out of left field thing, but he's managed to pull it off in the biggest kind of way. He's got Jonathan Satava, sort of a protege of Marcelo Garcia, fighting Kyle Sanford, a Henzo Gracie black belt, homegrown in Nova Scotia, fighting in the main event. And it's going to be an awesome event. It seems like they've really pulled things together well. So we're going to get him on the show shortly. And then also we have joining us tonight Gavin Tucker, a purple belt under Henzo Gracie and Titans here in Halifax, as well as Kent Peters from Zombie Proof, whom we've had on the show in the past. Those guys are meeting in a no-gi match at that Submission Series 902 event in New Glasgow. So it's going to be a good chat, a little bit different from the MMA that we typically talk about, Rick.
Well, this is big news, and this is getting attention not only in this neck of the woods, but right across the country and internationally as well, because this is the first time that we've ever seen a promoter try to take this sport and really put it on the map in this area. And I don't know where you come up with the ridiculous things like a water park in Nevada, if you actually write that kind of stuff down, Boyd. But this is big stuff. No, this is big stuff. And we're really excited about this and to tell the world about this and just show what we have to offer up here. But
yeah, I mean, absolutely. This is. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hold on, because I mean this is big, and we're gonna spend the entire show talking about this. But we went into this program tonight completely and totally unprepared. Skippy said, just be yourselves, guys. So I'm going to be cool. You're going to be a nerd as usual, but we'll see if we can pull this thing together tonight. What is the future of the BS show? You're the man.
What is the future?
Yeah.
Listen,
come on, I'm throwing curveballs.
Yeah, well, I have grand plans. I have grand schemes. I can tell you a couple of things. Thing number one, we will always and forever be part of the MMA Madhouse family. And anything that you and I do or don't do with the BS show will be shared 100% openly with Skippy and Carl, and they can do with it whatever they wish. That I'll tell you for sure.
Agreed.
I have had the good fortune of being connected with some people who are involved in the sort of web TV realm as of late, and I'm getting some software and I'm getting some knowledge from some projects that I'm doing with them that may enable us to do more of a television style broadcast, something where we'd be able to set up a small studio, have some guests in, show some video footage, and do the radio show that way. And we may even be able to get out into some of the gyms and at some of the venues around and actually pull together some sort of gym profile type stuff that get us in there talking to the guys in their element and perhaps doing a bit of training, getting some tours of the gyms and that type of thing. I'm super excited about it. The only thing that's really holding me back on really pulling the trigger is it will cost us some money. We're going to have to go out and see if there's enough interest in the show and see if we can get enough sponsors that would be able to pull together a small budget that would enable us to pull that off in that way. But I would love to do it. I think it's the next logical step to bring more focus to the combat sports world here in Atlantic Canada at any rate.
I'm really digging where you're going with this thing, Boyd. I really am, and you and I are in this together, brother. And it was our goal right from the bat, try to give something back to a community that gave us so much. And so I'm with you 100%. That being said, I truly believe you have a face for radio. But you know what? As long as I'm there by your side, man, I'm going to make you look good. As long as we got a hair and makeup person. I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, we'll see if we can pull that together. Right? That'll be a line item number one in the budget is hair and makeup for Rick, or maybe some modern technology they have to cut down the shine that'll be coming off your bald head, I guess.
Yeah,
I'm pretty excited.
And we got to make sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about the possibilities that we have because the technology is totally there to pull this shit off in an extremely professional manner. I know that there are some fantastic stories in every single gym that we've had the privilege of getting inside and talking to the guys in the past year or so. So I'm just super stoked to get in there and reveal some of that to the world.
Yeah, we'll have to make the dollar and cents come together, but I mean, I love the idea. I think this is a benefit to everybody. We can really profile some of these guys the way we want, and plus, let's be honest, I'm going to look good on camera.
Yeah, that you will. Okay, let's get down to business here. Skippy, how the hell are you doing? It's been a long time since we had a chance to chat with you as well.
Oh, it's moving forward, man, hustling. We love the BS show here. Whether you guys move it to a video platform or once a month, or you guys stick with the radio show, and whichever way you guys go, we support it 100%. And when you're ready, let me know. I'll help you hunt down some sponsors. That's not a problem. I would love to do that for you. As for Madhouse, Global Combat Network went live yesterday. That's what used to be Rear Naked Smoke, but we've upgraded it. We added a streaming service. We added a spot for podcasts. So anybody, anywhere in the world who wants to submit podcasts, live or replay events, or videos of instructions in different martial arts, whatever, fight videos, training videos, interviews, you're going to have a place. Right now we have about 47,000 plus videos in archive, and we're looking to grow that by a lot. This year, The numbers for Madhouse were insane. I never thought the Madhouse family could break 10 million, but we did in 1 year. So that was super cool. And speaking of Submission Series 902, we'll be streaming that event for anybody outside of the maritime area of Canada who can't make it to that event. You know, obviously there's a lot of people interested in what Cat is doing with this great event. So people from Africa to China to Texas are going to be able to watch this. So I'm super pumped about that. And it's free. Even better.
Even better. See what I say, Rick? I mean, the technologies are coming together that this stuff is totally possible now, and with a little bit of elbow grease and some dedication and some cooperation from enough folks, I mean, we can pull together something that can compete with your Foxes and your NBCs and your ABCs and your ESPNs, and that's what Skippy and those guys at what's the exact name of it again? Skippy
Global Combat Network.
The Global Combat Network. I mean, that's the kind of product that they're going to be able to start putting out. So pretty exciting stuff.
And go ahead, Rick.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, I've said it before, Boyd. The more of these guys that we can profile, you know, with images and pictures and videos, it helps to spread the word, and it brings the whole community a little closer. So I think it's good. And plus, dude, I mean, if there is a duplicate of Anchorman, it's you, Boyd. So I can't wait to watch you do it.
Ron Burgundy.
And
you know, Rick, this. You want some late breaking news? Okay, this just popped up a message on my Facebook about 5-6 seconds ago. The very first guest that we ever had on the BS show, I don't know if we aired her first because she was taped beforehand, and we probably played it later in the show. Her name was Amy Pitt.
Yes.
And she was a fighter out of New Brunswick. And I approached her a while ago when I heard that MMA is coming back to New Brunswick. Elite One is getting back up and running. They just about have all of the ink dry on the paperwork up there. And I approached her a while ago and said, listen, I don't think Rick and I can really get our fingers deep enough into what's going on in New Brunswick with us living down here in Halifax. Would you be interested in joining the BS show family and being our New Brunswick correspondent? And she just wrote me a message. Let me bring it up here. Just give me a sec. She said, boom, yes, in capital letters, Boyd. Let it be known that I will give up anything other than my children to make time for the BS show. Gotta like it.
Yeah, that's pretty dedicated. So there's a huge MMA following in New Brunswick. So now that that's coming back to that province, there's a whole new market there, you know, for us to go after, to bring all these people together, all these communities, all these fighters, and all these fans of the sport together. So it'll be a great opportunity for us as well.
Yeah, I've already reached out to Mike Williams, the promoter behind Elite One. And I think last time I was on their Facebook page, I think they have like 10,000-15,000 followers on Facebook. And he said the moment that they get the official license and they know everything is definitely a go, he's more than happy to come on and give us the update and let us know what's next for MMA in the province of New Brunswick.
Yeah, awesome. And I know we've got to get on to the guests soon, but I also want to bring up an event that we had. Now, we took a little hiatus, and Skippy took a little time off as well, so this is our first show back. We had the Fight First show here in Nova Scotia, which was the first amateur card for MMA that we had in Nova Scotia.
Yes, we did. I was at that event. It got off to a rocky start. There was a pretty sizable delay at the very beginning of the event. They eventually got things up and running, and I think we had maybe, I'm going to say, 6 MMA fights and 3 Muay Thai fights. One of the Muay Thai fights was an exhibition, I think, and the other one was a legit Muay Thai fight where Coco McNeil, who trains out of Team Titans with Peter Martell, kicked Robbie Innes from Flatline just about into the next century, I think. It was probably one of the most devastating knockouts that I have ever seen. Thankfully, Robbie was perfectly fine. Even the next day, I think he was up and around and feeling great. But man, that was a hell of a head kick.
Yeah, absolutely. That was okay. Here's my thoughts on that event, and let's be honest with it. From you and I were in the press box for that night. If I had walked in blind to that, if I was a paying fan, walked into that show, I would not have been happy with what I saw. And there were a lot of hold-ups. Now, we know, you and I know that some of the issues that were going on in the back with medicals being failed and fights being canceled and the whole 9 yards. But from a fan's perspective, I don't think it was a good show, spectator-wise, to watch. And it's no disrespect to the promoters involved.
I mean, it certainly did not go off. It certainly did not go off smooth. I'll give you that. I mean, they did manage to pull things together and to get the number of fights on required for the show. But be interesting to see how much of that they get ironed out before the next Fight First event. I don't think there's one on the docket right now. I do know there is a Extreme Cage Combat fight coming up on February 28th, and I was going to share a little bit of information about that one a little bit down the road here.
Yeah, see, my thoughts on it, Boyd, now this is a promoter's responsibility when this type of thing goes down. And I know that a promoter can be tied up in the back. Everybody's tied up dealing with the issues that are coming up last minute in a sport that has fighting, and anybody involved in fighting knows all the shit that goes down in the back rooms last minute. There's a lot of stuff. But what these promoters need to keep in mind is that if there are problems, there needs to be a contingency plan to keep the fans happy. Because if somebody walked in off the street to go to that event and sat in their chair, paid the money, sat in their chair, and waited an hour and a half for a show to start, they're not going to be happy people. I wouldn't be, you wouldn't be, no one would be. So I think in the future, one thing that these promoters need to consider is if something bad goes down, something else has to happen. Okay, you've got to keep these people occupied.
Well, I mean, you've often said to me, probably on this show and certainly in private conversation, that MMA promoters need to maybe go check out some pro wrestling events where keeping the crowd engaged is 100% necessary. But I mean, as you said, those guys know how to make a sport out of something that's not even a sport, because they can keep the people engaged and entertained in the story that's unfolding in front of them. So, valid point.
It's one of those components that promoters need to work on, and then they wonder why people don't come back or they can't get the general public. You know, Dana White copied Vince McMahon's model, you know, for the WWE for a reason. It's because he nails entertainment. So that's one thing I think promoters need to keep in mind. When things do happen, when shit is going wrong, make sure you have contingency plans in place. Do something to entertain people. But anyway,
well, I know there's somebody in the queue that knows a thing or two about promoting events of one kind or another, and he just heard what you said, and hopefully he'll take that to heart for the event coming up on the 23rd of January. Kat, how you doing?
How you doing, guys?
We are fantastic. Been here shooting the shit, and looking forward to learning a little bit more about this event you're putting on.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. I hear you guys having a good chat about the WWE and the UFC and all that fun stuff. So hopefully we can talk a little bit more about Submission Series.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your background. I mean, it's somewhat unlikely that a world-class grappling event is being promoted in New Glasgow, Nova Scotia. One has to admit. How did this come about?
Well, I'm kind of a mystery man, actually. I'm kind of the behind-the-scenes guy, and I've got a lot of experience kind of doing events all over the world, and I grew up here in this area, and I've become very close to Jared McIntosh and Mike Kitson and Jason Rorson at the Titans Club and those guys, and you know, there's so many different ways to give back in the jiu-jitsu community, and event planning and organizational skills are kind of my forte. So I'm not a great competitor. I do train, 5-6 days a week, and but I'm not much of a fighter. So this is kind of my way to give back to all these guys and girls and kids that that train so hard, and it's a movement. It's jiu-jitsu's new, but it's not new. Everyone keeps telling me that. They say, it's a new thing, but I say, man, it's 2015. Look, go on YouTube. It's not that world anymore. It doesn't have to be. So I'm going to promote it, and I'm going to make it happen, and we're going to make it work.
Okay, we have a lot of people who listen to this show who aren't necessarily jiu-jitsu players, and they don't really know the sport. And perhaps they're more into kickboxing, or they're more into MMA, or perhaps even only UFC, and they don't really know much about the fight game, and certainly not the grappling game. Tell us a little bit about what makes this event unique in terms of it being a submission-only event. Like, what does that mean? And set that up by telling us, what is a regular jiu-jitsu tournament all about? Like, how is that scored, and how does somebody win or lose, and how is your tournament different from that?
Yeah, okay. It's a regular jiu-jitsu tournament usually is set up like an actual bracket, with weight divisions, and depending on experience or belt level or that kind of thing. And sometimes if you win, you can continue. You could sometimes fight 6 or 7 times before you end up winning your division. So, and then some guys go on and they fight in the absolute, which is that's a tournament-based format. Whereas we're more like the UFC. It's about building a roster of guys and girls who want to compete and basically just go for the kill. Well, not just go for the finish. That's the whole idea about this. It's not about points and some guys pull guard, but if you're going to pull guard, go for the flying armbar. Those are the things we want. We want to make this exciting for everybody, and I don't, point jiu-jitsu has a place and everything, and I find that's kind of the fundamentals. But this event's, in my opinion, what I like to call the all-star game. It's about going for 15 minutes, and the first person that taps is the loser. So a lot of these people that are training, they know who they're training for 15 minutes, and they've known for 6 weeks or 8 weeks, and they're all fired up. So they've been watching each other's game, and we'll see what happens.
So is that 15 minutes broken into rounds, or are you talking they hit the mat and it's just continuous 15 minutes until somebody taps, or then nobody wins? Is that the way it works?
Exactly. No, it's a 1 15-minute match, exactly. So like in a regular jiu-jitsu tournament, and a lot of the higher levels, I believe they're like 8 to 9-minute matches. So sometimes even lower, sometimes higher. But this is a 15-minute submission-only match, so there's no points, and that's it. So around I'd say that around the 10-minute mark, the skills are really going to come into play, because that's when kind of people are starting to get tired, and it's really slippery, and people start making mistakes. So that's kind of the difference about it. UFC and MMA or boxing or a lot of sports, there's those rounds, but in jiu-jitsu there's not. It's that one fight, and it's kind of the fight until the finish.
It definitely sounds intriguing. Rick, you jump in here. I got a couple more questions for Cap, but you jump in here if you got something to ask.
Well, first of all, Kat, thank you so much for coming on this show. It's a real pleasure to have you on here and talk about this thing that you're doing.
Hey, man, no, I appreciate it. You guys have been around for a lot longer than I. I've been doing events for a lot of years in a lot of places, but this is kind of my first first foray into the whole martial arts world. But it's one of those things where it's just going to happen, and with your guys' help, that's kind of what's going to make it happen. So I appreciate having me on.
Well, what really excites me about this whole thing is that I see a competition that, from a promoter's point of view, that you may be directing more to get the general public in the door. And that's what really excites me. I know that the fighters are extremely excited about this, and it is getting a tremendous amount of it's being talked about everywhere. My first question to you is, did you have to deal with any sort of commission to do this? Is this an amateur event or a professional event?
Good question, actually. Because none of these guys are getting paid, right? So it's an amateur. There's no such thing as a professional jiu-jitsu fighter. Unfortunately, at this point, at this level, there's some of these guys, especially black belts who, they travel around the world and they fight at some of these events. And a lot of times with a black belt in jiu-jitsu, you make your money off seminars, right? So you travel the world and try to make your money off seminars. But this whole submission only thing is, there's myself and there's other guys, the Machados are doing the Jiu-Jitsu World League out there in California, and there's Metamoris and Polaris that just finished in London. So there are other people doing this, and it's all about getting these guys and girls who, they train their ass off, all year long, and it's no different than hockey or baseball or, whatever other sport it is. So it's about getting some notoriety to these people and getting them, some money eventually. But, at this point, it's just an amateur sport. So these are amateur events, and that's kind of where it is at this point.
Okay, so we've seen in other provinces where the commissions, the MMA, boxing commissions, or fight commissions, whatever you call them, have stepped into other combat sports outside of MMA. We've seen some involvement in Muay Thai, as well as Jiu-Jitsu, I believe, in one province.
In New Brunswick, yeah.
New Brunswick, yeah. Were you faced with any of that? Did you have to deal with the commission here in Nova Scotia, or are they not involved?
Well, not until now. So thanks, Rick. Well, we gotta talk about these things. I mean, is this, yeah. So no, it was. I would see no need for an involvement. We've talked about this before from a commission, but I'm just curious if they approached you or anything like that. No one has. It's the way I look at it is, we have such a tight jiu-jitsu community here in the Maritimes, and we have, I don't know how many tournaments a year. At every single club we have a tournament. There's almost one every couple months. So, and no commission has ever bothered anybody there. So I really, everyone pays to compete at those events. So I really don't see the difference, in my opinion. So, no one's really, I've kind of spoke with a few different people, and we're fully insured, and we followed the rules, and crossed our T's and dotted our I's, and made sure we're doing this. And to us, this is it's unfortunately the first one's a 19. It's a license. You have to be 19 to get there because of the venue. But we're looking at other options, and it's about family. Jiu-jitsu is a family sport, and it's a men and women and kids. Everybody trains together, and it's about the love of the sport, right? And and that's what it's about. It's a lifestyle. It's way different. It's totally different than any other martial art. So that's kind of what we're trying to get across with this. So
I couldn't agree more to that. And I'm a firm believer in our education system. And what I look at when I see this event that you're putting on is I see something that's going to capture the attention of the general public. I don't think Joe Blow that watches UFC on whatever night it's on, walking into a regular BJJ tournament. I don't see that happening, because they don't understand the sport. They don't understand the techniques that are being done. But what I do see in this is the general public saying, I'd like to go to this because I can understand submissions. I can understand when someone's tapping. I can understand it. And that really excites me, because I think we're going to bring people in the door that have never really understood this sport or really looked at it. So it's great. Now, my last question before you go back to Boyd is that how is your presentation? Is this going to be set up like a normal BJJ tournament, or are you going more towards the music and the lights and the whole entertainment package here?
Oh, this is the full meal deal. So it's going to be streamed actually for free in HD, which is kind of unheard of in the jiu-jitsu community. Streaming is a big thing in martial arts and obviously in this era. So to stream it for free is kind of an unheard of thing to do, especially in HD. So it will be streamed on MMA Madhouse. As well, another thing that has kind of yet to be announced, but another thing that's kind of unheard of, it's going to be filmed by a local television studio here, Eastlink TV. So they're going to film it in HD and then cut it into a 3-part miniseries, which will be available on demand across Canada and possibly in the United States. So
well played, my friend.
Yeah,
well played.
Yeah,
Good job, Pat. Congratulations, man, on all of that. That is absolutely fantastic that you've pulled that together the way that you have. Like, nobody other than yourself and a very small group of people that you work closely with will understand exactly what you've managed to pull off here. That's fantastic.
I really appreciate that, Boyd. It's funny. I don't know. There's no quit in me, right? And it's just one of these things. You see everybody work so hard, and it's just, I don't know. It's a passion for me to do this, and I appreciate people like you doing what you do, and it's about spreading the sport and spreading the love. And if this is the way we can do it, and get, like Rick said, get the general public off the street, and it's going to be filmed, like I said, by Eastlink, so you get 6 cameras there between the stream and Eastlink, and a GoPro on the roof, and 2 big 70-inch screen TVs on the side of the walls, and we have lots of stuff going on, and it's a full production, so we're really excited about it.
Brother, before I cut out here, I just want to say, congratulations on this. I think it's big news. You're going to put new asses in the seats to this event. This is what this sport needs. It needed a little more excitement factor. Let's see the finishes. Let's see the submissions. You're putting it out there, and I think this is going to change the game here. This is going to bring a new sport front and center, and the general public's going to get involved. We can get this damn sport into the education system where it belongs, because I'm sick and tired of watching kids running under parachutes and playing dodgeball. This sport needs to be so congratulations, brother. You finished her off there, Boyd. Thank you.
Well said. Well said. I like dodgeball.
So listen. So listen, Kat, one thing that really surprised me about this event when I started seeing it unfold was the caliber of athletes and actually who the individuals were that are going to be competing against each other in this first event. Because tell us a little bit about some of the higher level matchups that you have at the top of the card, just to start.
Yeah, of course. There's so many great guys to start this card, and the whole idea is to kind of showcase our Eastern talent against, or even Canadian talent against the rest of the world. So to start off, we have on the main card, I guess we'd call it, we have Joel Jacquard from Titans here in Taylor Gang. He's a purple belt and pretty close to his brown belt, I'd say. So he's going to be taking on Michael Tremblay, who's from BTT Ottawa, and he's quite the stud himself. He's a recent brown belt up there, and he's Alison Tremblay's brother. So he's competed on the world circuit quite a bit, and we're excited about that fight. And then we also have Josh Presley against Alessandro Roman Camargo, who's from Toronto BJJ. So that's kind of a rematch. They've fought a couple times, and it's kind of interesting to see those guys go at submission only, because they fought, at the IBJJF level a few times, and they're both excited, I know, to kind of go. We'll see if that one goes to 15 minutes. I'd be very shocked if it did. So, and then the next one, obviously, to finish off in no-gi, which is pretty much my, it's a crazy exciting fight. It's no-gi with Kyle Sanford, who's he's a living legend among men here in the Maritimes. So he's taken on Jonathan Satava, he's kind of like, I like to call him the Nathan McKinnon of Jiu-Jitsu. He's a very, very well-known man and a brown belt, and just kind of competed in Copa Podio in Brazil as the only brown belt, and did very well down there. And he's out of Marcelo Garcia's in New York, and very, very proud and happy to have him. So those are kind of the 3 big fights at the end. But then we have so much local talent that Kevin Tebow and Scott Noss and Nate O'Brien and Colin McMichael and Jesse Allen and all these guys, the John Foster and the Abaya guys, and John Williams from Synergy. There's just so much talent. Gavin Tucker and Ken Peters, who you're having on tonight. So it's just great. Everybody's pumped up for it, and we got about 9 or 10 days left, and we'll see what happens.
I only have one concern about this event, and that was when you told me that there's limited seating for the media, because Rick and I want to be as close to that action as we possibly can. So if you can poke one of us under the apron, then that would be awesome. The other one of us can just lurk in the background, and we'll be able to talk about the fan reaction and all of that stuff while the other guy's up watching the actual grappling.
Well, the plan is for one of you guys to be out back if you're up for it, and then we'll have one of you guys out on the actual stage, and you guys can kind of switch back and forth if you're up for that.
Yeah, well, whatever works for you will work for us, my man.
To be honest, I should be front and center at all times, and Boyd should be in the back.
Well, the thing is, I would like to go out. I would like to go out occasionally because there should be somebody there who actually knows a little bit about grappling to watch what's going on. So, I don't know if they're having ring. I don't know if they're having ring girls, Rick. I didn't hear a mention of ring girls, so you can just stay in the back and talk to the fighters.
Well, you shouldn't say. Old Johnny Roscoe and the Bomb Squad girls are coming from New Brunswick, so he's moved into the Nova Scotia territory, and he's actually hosting the after party. So that'll be taking place with Brian Byrne from I Mother Earth, so that'll be pretty neat.
Oh,
so.
Nice. Fantastic.
Yeah.
What a bonus.
That's taking place. Yeah, so that's afterwards. So it's going to be a great weekend.
Super. Well, thanks a lot, Kat, for joining us tonight. I know as the event gets closer, you must be getting busier and busier, so we really appreciate you taking some time to spend with us. Rick and I certainly are super pumped for the event. I know there are a lot of guys in the gyms and in the local grappling community who are going to be there, and I'm sure Skippy is going to get the word out nationally and internationally so that there'll be tons and tons and tons of people following this first event.
Excellent. Well, again, thanks for having me on, guys, and pushing and doing everything you guys do for the sport and all the martial arts in general. So thanks again.
Cheers.
Later on.
Thanks.
It's almost shocking that this has taken place, Rick. It just blows my mind that event is going to unfold the way that it appears in New Glasgow. It's awesome, absolutely awesome.
It is, Boyd, and I wish we would have had more time to talk about the individual fighters. Folks, when this show's back, when this ends and you go and you hit the replay, go back and listen to every name that he mentioned there. From our neck of the woods, these are our best guys. So, you walk in, you talk to Boyd, you and I are in the MMA kind of end of things a little bit, but we slip into their world and they all treat us with respect and help us out. And they all know each other. They're great guys, great competitors. I love the fact that we're seeing our best go out there and do competition because I think we've got some of the best in the world, plain and simple.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a perfect segue because I hate to admit it, but with him listening, but a guy, you couldn't ask for a better guy than the guy we have in the queue right now, and that's the owner-operator of Zombie Proof, BJJ, and MMA, Mr. Kent Peters. Kent, welcome back to the show, man. Glad you could join us.
Thanks, buddy. Pleasure to be here. How are you?
We are fantastic. I assume you are in full-on teaching and training mode, getting ready for the 23rd. How are you feeling?
Good, man. Good. I feel great. The typical 32-year-old aches, but the best shape I've ever been in, best conditioning, best cardio. I feel good. I'm ready to go.
I have no doubt that you've left no stone unturned. How did this come about? How did you end up on this card fighting against Gavin Tucker?
Kat messaged me, asked me if I'd go for a roll with Gavin, and I agreed instantly. I mean, me and Gavin, him being a matchmaker and the friend of mine, I never really got a chance to roll with him. I see him at the local shows. I talk to him constantly. I know me and him are roughly the same size. He's a purple belt. He's very skilled. And, I mean, stuck on Cape Breton, right? Like, I want to roll with every single jiu-jitsu player in the world. And once Kat offered me Gavin, of course, I'll just amputate my legs. We'll have to start from the ground, and we'll be good to go.
So how did it turn out to be a no-gi match? Because you guys are doing no-gi grappling, right?
Yeah. Gavin has a fight coming up. So, when I was offered no-gi, he doesn't need to throw the gi on, to train for me when I know he got a fight coming up. Gavin's a skilled MMA fighter. I want him to win. I want him to make it to the UFC. So when I heard, of course I like gi, you know that. But once the offer was made and it was Gavin, I said, yeah, man, of course I'll do no gi. So I took the gi off a few weeks ago, and, it's pretty fun.
Awesome. And you're actually getting some guys ready for some MMA fights coming up in the very near future anyway, right?
Yeah. I'm. We don't have anything inked yet, but I should have 3 guys from Zombie Proof fighting on the 28th card.
And will that be the most guys that you've had fighting on the same card out of Zombie Proof since you started coaching guys?
Funny enough, no. We had 4 guys fight for Cage Rage in Moncton.
Oh,
same
wow.
day. Yeah, so we're growing. We're a growing club. We got a good base of guys. Everybody's so helpful. I love the environment we have going on. I would rather give somebody their money back and tell them to hit the road than have somebody negative come in and ruin my happy place. So
I hear you. I mean,
really wonderful culture. But you've been there. You've seen it. We're all about that. This is the place to be happy. This is where you let it all out. This is where you enjoy yourself. So I love it. I love my club.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, anybody could come on and talk the talk, but I've had an opportunity to drop by Zombie Proof a couple of times, and you guys walk the walk down there. I don't know if I've ever been in a gym that has a more positive environment created for the kids and the adults who train there. I mean, you just do a fantastic job with that. I mentioned this on a previous BS show. I'll just make this comment before I get your reaction to it before I hand you off to Rick. I was kind of surprised that when I saw the names coming up of the people who'd be competing on this card, there were a number of gym owners like yourself and head instructors, and I just get the sense that if it was in other martial arts or in other areas, in other arenas, you wouldn't see the guys who are owning a gym being willing to put themselves out there and chance losing or not having the performance that they want and feeling like they'd somehow let down their gym or it was going to hurt their bottom line. Did that ever come into your mind, and what do you think about that?
No, I honestly, I don't give a shit. That means nothing to me. Like, if I lose this match terribly, like within the first 10 seconds, I'm not going to gain or lose students. I'm not going to gain or lose respect. If I win this match, I'm not going to gain or lose students. At the end of the day, for me, it was the option of rolling with somebody who I look up to as a martial artist, someone I look up to as a person. He's a good guy. And when I had the opportunity to roll with him in a competitive environment, yeah, man, of course I'll do it. I love this shit, and not just that, like this, if this works as well as I know it's going to, every single person that sees this show that didn't have any prior experience with martial arts, like jiu-jitsu specifically, if they fall in love with jiu-jitsu watching me and Gavin go to town on each other and they walk into a gym, it's going to change their life, and that's it. If one person watches me and Gavin smashing each other and walks through the doors of Titans, Zombie Proof, Fit Plus, and they join, they're going to be a better person than before they walk through that door. Like, this card is going to do a lot for people in the Maritimes, and the Maritimes needs it.
All yours, Rick.
Coach, all I got to say is thank you for what you're doing.
Thanks,
this
buddy.
Absolutely blows my mind because Boyd touched on this. Okay, you're a gym owner, and it's just not something that you normally see because I don't know if it's reputation or whatever the case may be. That if they think they might lose students if they were to, were to win or whatever, you are setting a precedent here that I absolutely love, and you said it all. You said it all there. You want Gavin Tucker to do well. You want Gavin Tucker to go further. So if you can push him and you can challenge him and you can make him work harder, that everybody wins. What other sport do you hear that in? None.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
The vibe for us, man. Like, that's jiu-jitsu. Some of the best people I've ever met in my entire life are people that, regular Joes off the street would think, oh, look at that thug, or, that guy with a black eye, he's fighting it. Like, to me, man, we embrace humility, every day, and Joe Rogan said this, man, every day we have to live our life knowing that this little dude named Marcelo down in New York could kill us with our bare hands. Like, that is humbling, I don't have these delusions of grandeur. I'm not even the toughest guy in my island, I'm sure. And that jiu-jitsu, that does that. That makes you a humble person. And if more people do jiu-jitsu, we're going to have more humble people. And it's great. It's a great feeling,
I I get that so loud and clear, Coach. I really do, because 90% of the time I just want to punch people in the face. That's how I feel, and that's what I want to do. Okay, but when I get there and I start rolling and I start to relax and I start to think, it is the most calming effect that I have in my lifetime.
Kinetic shift.
Yeah, it really does, and I need that balance in my life, and I know a lot of other people do. And if you're just tuning into this show for the first time tonight, we've had the coach on here before, and just to let people know, I mean, he operates a gym in a rural area of Nova Scotia where there was no there was no gym set up there. And no offense to anybody in Cape Breton, they've had a lot of hard times in that community. There's been a lot of industry closed. And he opened up this facility down there, folks, and his goal was to change young people's lives. And he has made such a difference in that neck of the woods. Anybody that does BJJ knows the calmness that it brings to the youth and the discipline, and he is doing that in his area. And I can't thank you enough for what you've done, Coach. I really can't.
Thank you for the kind words.
Cheers.
So, Kent, Kent, we really look forward to seeing the competition. I was super stoked when I heard about the matchup, and now that we're just a week or 10 days away, I'm really excited to see what you and Gavin are going to be able to show, whether it's the experienced jiu-jitsu guys who are going to be really analyzing what you guys are doing in there, or if it's somebody like Rick said who walked in off the street and they're going to be seeing this for the first time, and as you pointed out, there might be somebody that you inspired to walk into a gym and do some martial arts on their own. I do promise you that I will try do my best to keep Rick away from you. I know he's looking for a serious bromance, but I'll try to run some interference for you at least until your match is over. Okay?
Don't worry about it, man. I like that glare that I see off his head. It just reflects my own eyeballs. Me and him, we could be bromances.
Thanks for joining us, Kent, man. It's going to be a fantastic event, and thanks for everything that you do in the martial arts community in Nova Scotia.
Thank you, man. I just want to make a quick shout-out, Brian
give
Byrne,
it. Go.
Playing the after party. He's one of my guys. He's a zombie proofer, and he's awesome. I hope everybody goes to that show. If you never listened on Mother Earth, Brian Byrne, check him out. The guy's voice sings like an angel. All right, and Dr. D, Dr. Delicious, Savvy, he's going to be there. All right, I know he's listening right now. I love you, buddy. All right, Minnie and Johnny, those guys are probably going to drop some bombs, maybe, hypothetically speaking. And other than that, everybody at Zombie Proof, everybody listening, come see the show.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, brother.
Thanks, guys.
Talk soon.
Cheers.
Bye.
Rick, that guy is one of a kind, man.
Yeah, I'm excited about the after party now. I'm thinking double-fisted fun, brother.
Yeah, listen, I have heard, excuse me, I've heard nothing but absolutely fantastic things about this Brian Byrne guy from My Mother Earth. As a matter of fact, one of our sponsors, Martin Blaze from Agro Photography, shot him at a small venue here in Halifax just this past weekend, I think. Saw some absolutely beautiful photos, and the feedback coming out of the show was absolutely stupendous. So if you and I don't know if we're heading down and driving back or if we're going to be sticking around for the after party, but hopefully we get to stick around and check that out.
I'm sure I'll be there for the after party.
I'm sure you will, even if it means hitchhiking back the next day in the cold.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Won't be the last. Sitting in the queue right now, we have a guy that I assumed we were going to have on the BS show about a dozen times by now, but as the world would have it, it didn't happen. But I am super stoked to have him back. It is Kent Peters' opponent at Submission Series 902 on January 23rd in New Glasgow, Mr. Gavin Tucker. How are you, Gav?
Good. How you guys doing?
Fantastic, man. Yep, can hear you perfect. I assume you just rolled out of Domino's Pizza, had a few pints of beer, and ate some pasta. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, if you call, Titans MMA, Domino's Pizza, and all the nasty things that go along with it, for sure. Yeah.
Well, Gavin, it's been forever since forever since we had you on the show. So I want to take a step back and introduce people to you a little bit, because you've been away rehabbing an injury and then working on your game for many, many months now. Give our audience a little bit of background on who you are, what your MMA record is, and sort of what your plans are for the very near future.
Sure, yeah. I'm 7-0 right now in MMA. I started about 4 years ago at Titans here in Halifax with Peter Martel, and I collected a good record of seven fights with all wins, and training for a fight with Jesse Gross, which was to be my 8th professional fight. I tore my rotator cuff and dislocated the shoulder pretty badly, so I ended up needing surgery and lost a little bit of time, but stayed in the gym, stayed studying hard, and this will be my first fight back in February as far as MMA goes. But I've been studying a lot of jiu-jitsu and competing quite a bit, doing a lot of boxing rounds with pro boxers, just kind of hiding in the shadows and sharpening, and people are in for a treat. It's going to be the return, and I guess it's going to start in about 10 days at that submission series. So it's going to be exciting stuff. Like I said, I've been studying a lot, and I'm excited to get back competing, no matter what it's in, jiu-jitsu, MMA.
So Gavin, so how long were you away from competition in total?
I lost. Well, the injury had happened prior to an October bout, 2013. So I lost about a year and a half worth of competition time, which was
right.
For a fighter and someone who's doing that for their job, and it was pretty tough,
So I have a little bit of insight into sort of the physical part, certainly not the psychological part, because I'm not a pro fighter. But I had a shoulder surgery shortly before you had yours, and mine was significantly lesser. I think you had a much more complicated surgery, and I know it took me 9 months, maybe 11 or 12 months before I really felt like I could use that arm like it was supposed to be. What was the rehab process like for you, and what did you do to ensure that you were not losing time over that rehab period and you were actually sharpening other parts of your game? Like, sort of, how did you approach that?
Well, first off, I had a fantastic surgeon, Dr. Ivan Wong, who was a high-level athlete himself, and he's performed surgeries on some Olympic athletes, and he came highly recommended from a lot of people. And then Robbie McDonald down in Nova was my physio guy, and I saw these guys religiously and worked religiously, and in the time that I had to myself when I actually couldn't physically do things, I studied. I asked a lot of questions. I sought out resources that would have answers to things that I needed answers to. And I'll be honest with you, I was always a little bit fast-paced and never really took the time to slow down to kind of sharpen things. I was always very much involved in kind of an athletic style, I guess, which is still obviously something I'm going to try and apply in the fights, but it's going to come with a lot more. It's going to come from a much more mature standpoint for sure. Now that we've had some time to sit back and look at stuff, and I spent a year and a half, man, just basically with my head in a book, just the same way I did when I was in music school. Learning how to practice there has translated over to me learning how to be diligent and to practice in martial arts and in fist fighting. So I'm really excited to get back.
Yeah, you were a jazz guitarist before transitioning more full time to mixed martial arts. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was a guitar player. I was studying jazz beforehand and doing some jazz gigs, but not mostly just all kinds of music. But yeah, definitely was working as a musician before the training kind of took over. I remember being down on Palookas when they were on Gottingen Street on my rehearsal breaks and lunch breaks, and eventually it just kind of grew into my entire schedule. And before I knew it, I was working the desk there and bringing my guitar to work. That's the only time I practice. And then I took over for sure.
Well, before I hand you off to Rick, I have to just share a little anecdote. I had the extremely good fortune of being at being at Renzo Gracie's school in Manhattan, the night that you were presented with your purple belt. If I never ever managed a belt in jiu-jitsu in my life, I will always have that memory, at least, because it was just such a fantastic and emotional moment to see you get your purple belt right there in Renzo's school. It was something else.
Do you remember that? I'm glad. I remember in time. I'm glad you were there to share it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I may have shed a tear when I felt the belt slap me on the back that night. I was pretty happy, especially to get it, from our lineage in the house. Renzo's house itself was really cool, and it seems like a while ago now, and as soon as you get that belt, you're kind of feeling the pressure to perform at that level. And I know Kent, my opponent for the submission series coming up, has been a purple belt for quite a while, runs his own club, so it's gonna be exciting, man. It's gonna be exciting to go out and represent Renzo Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and Titans MMA, and what our purple belts stand for, and the caliber of our purple belts. So yeah, it was definitely a great memory, and looking back on that now, and the confidence that I've built up since they put that belt in my hands is definitely going to be something that I'm going to carry with me in 10 days.
Rick, jump on in.
Gavin, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight.
My pleasure. How could I not say yes to you, buddy?
I told you if it was 20 years ago, I'd give you a good go.
Yeah, right. I bet. Double fisting and all.
Yeah, keep in mind he'd be in a diaper then, but hey, I'm just kidding.
Right, there you go.
I can say that when I'm a phone length away, right? Gavin,
you're fair enough.
Gavin, you are the man here. And, I'm not saying that because I'm involved in your gym. I don't think anybody's going to disagree with this. Brother, everyone looks at you in Atlantic, Canada. Everybody looks at you that's met you, and we see something special. We're in Canada, there's a lot of hockey fans, anybody listening in Canada. It was like when we were watching Sidney Crosby come out of this area. He was just one of those guys that you looked at and you knew that he was going to the NHL. He was going to be the top player in the NHL. Down in the States, you can look at Gavin Tucker and you can see a Tom Brady. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. We see a guy that lives and breathes this sport or lifestyle 24/7. There are no exceptions. He eats everything right. He trains everything right. Folks, this is the epitome of what someone can go for in this sport. So, Gavin, congratulations and the best of luck to you in this tournament.
Jeez, Rick, thank you. I really appreciate it. Those are kind words, man. Thank you.
Everybody that has ever met you, competitor, coach, spectator, has nothing but the utmost respect for what you do in this sport and how hard you train at it. So I just wanted to say thank you. But before you go, Gav, or before I head you back to Boyd, what motivates you? What pushes you to push yourself so hard every day? What is it?
Well, there's no real short answer to that question, especially when you talk about motivation, because it's it morphs a lot. You know what I mean? The motivation that starts you, that brings you into an MMA gym in the first place, and the motivation that keeps you there are two different things by a huge stretch. For me, that changes quite a bit, but right now I have something that I see in my head, a place that I want to be, and a lifestyle, that I want to live, and something, when I'm an old man, I can look on and I can say, this is what I spend my time doing, and I develop this craft, because that's what it is to me. I don't see MMA as something that I really like, to be honest, aside from the actual fist fight. I don't like the clothing brands and the T-shirts and a lot of the attitudes and a lot of the stigmas that are attached to it for a reason. So for me, I have a vision of how I see it and how I want it, and that goal drives me forward, trying to make it into something that I can manifest in my own reality to show people I can succeed in this at the highest level. I'm as competitive as anyone you've ever met. That's for sure, and I can do it respectfully, and I can maybe make an impact on the sport. You know what I mean, and be one of the first Newfoundlanders to go into the UFC and make a big run. That really inspires me a lot to be representing Newfoundland in that sport, and to be representing Ship Cove and everyone at home who's a fan of this stuff, and everyone who wishes they could have done it or did do it and got injured and can't continue, or have competitive bones in their body that they want to step out the door and compete every day. That's why I do it. I want to, I show up at the gym every day nervous because we've got a shop full of killers, and I don't think there's a day that goes by that I don't get tested and test myself. And whenever those days do happen, for rest days or sickness or whatever comes up, I just don't feel normal. And so I don't know at a certain point if you can even recognize what motivates you. It becomes kind of habitual routine or methodical routine that you fall into, and hope there's some light at the end of it. You see a lot of fighters end up broken, destitute, and if you don't want that to happen to you and you want to be involved, you better fucking push. So, the fear of failure motivates me, and the idea of some glory waiting, and that I can represent some people that might be proud of me, all those things. But like I said, it changes pretty much on a daily basis. You never lack of motivation. There's always somewhere to draw from. So I guess, sorry for the long-winded response, but that's my answer.
Gav, how did this submission event come about? Like, how did this happen? I mean, you're an MMA guy by and large, and like you said, you're on a 7-fight run, and everybody who's in the know around here was basically saying Gavin needs one more fight before he's going to go to the big show. Gavin needs maybe 1 or 2 more fights before he goes to the big show, and then you had the injury. Why come back with something like this Submission Series 902 event?
I've always competed on the side, I've done the Abu Dhabi trials multiple times and competed locally in tournaments, and there's been a lot of talks about me doing pro boxing fights and stuff like this, and I just like to compete, and people might see that as risky or whatever, but I've never really cared much for things like reputation or anything like that. The people that share the gym with me and know me know I train hard, and I do the best that I can. I don't think jiu-jitsu is a huge part of MMA, and people can see me however they want to see me, but I'm a jiu-jitsu player as well. Our club, Titans, and the Taylor Gang, and the whole Titans umbrella there with Peter and Kevin. It's a strong jiu-jitsu club, in my opinion, one of the strongest, in Canada, and that's why I'm there. So for people to see me as an MMA fighter and not a jiu-jitsu player, that's not accurate at all, and in 10 days, the goal is to go out and show people. If I chose to be a fucking badminton player, I would be a competitive badminton player. I chose jiu-jitsu and fighting, and I love each individual aspect of the sport, so I'm going to go try to represent our club, represent our team in the Pacific area.
Well, before we wrap up, I want to tell you we had Kent Peters on the show shortly before we were talking to you, and he was exceptionally complimentary of you as an athlete, and not only complimentary of you as an athlete, but also supportive of you as an athlete. And he talked at length about how there's such a closeness in the jiu-jitsu community, whether it be a particular club, a particular family of clubs, like Atlantic Canada, or even if you run into jiu-jitsu players elsewhere in the world, and they just want to see people do better and grow as a result of the sport. And one of the things that he touched on was, I want to see Gavin Tucker do whatever Gavin Tucker can do. He said he has enormous potential, and I want to see him fulfill that potential. And if I have a little part to play in that, with having a submission match against him, then he said that was absolutely an honor for him. How did you feel when you were offered Kent as an opponent, and how do you feel going into the competition?
You know what, Kent's a great guy, man. He's a great representation of jiu-jitsu. He takes things very lightly, like he's very lighthearted. But make no mistake, he's going to come and he's going to try to win on January 23rd. He's complimenting me, and I'll compliment him. He's a great guy. He's a great father, good coach, good club owner, and all those things. But he's going to come and he's going to try, to choke me and submit me and all those things too. So we're going to compliment each other, and of course we respect each other and we're friends and friendly. But we within the 15-minute window that we're given to compete against each other, we're going to go after each other. And the beautiful thing about jiu-jitsu is you can do that. The community is tight. There's no animosity, really. Like there is in MMA. I think a lot of guys exchange words and have some I don't know, kind of angry exchanges and whatever, and I'm guilty of it myself. But there's absolutely zero animosity when it comes to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because, there's no need. It's not a violent sport, despite what it is, a combat sport. There's very little violence involved in it, I think that's really respectful of Kent, and I expected that. He's a very respectful person. I've dealt with Ken on different occasions for business with the ECC and with a lot of his fighters he's producing, like great guys there, Mike Spoilian and Johnny Campbell, who are also really nice guys. And you couldn't ask for a better community, to be honest, than jiu-jitsu guys. Win or lose, I think jiu-jitsu is about learning and going through, and you need to take part in tournaments and submissions, and it only adds to the ultimate goal for me, which is to improve as a fighter. So anything that I can do and challenges that come up, I'll definitely take them. Well,
that's a perfect segue, man, because we're all looking forward to this event that's coming up, but everybody who knows of you is interested to know what's next for you and your MMA career.
Right, so February 28th is going to be the next ECC, and I have an opponent tentatively scheduled, I guess we'll say, as far as it goes right now. I can't say too much about it because I don't have anything nailed down, and I don't want to say anything. I will say it's a gentleman from Quebec who accepted the fight, and we went through a few lists of names, and this will be my first fight back in over 2 years. The last fight was against Lyndon Whitlock. I'm not even sure how long ago that was, and I've had 2 trips to Thailand and a trip to Henzo's and a long list of hours of training since that matchup. So I'm excited to return and show a new version.
Well, thanks a lot, man, for taking the time into your busy schedule to join us. We're super excited for the event with you and Kent next week at the Submission Series, but even more so, super stoked to hear that you're healthy, to see where your head is, to hear the mature and level approach that you're taking to your career now, and we couldn't be more excited to follow you and all the exciting things that are going to happen for you in the next 12, 18 months. It's super cool to be part of it, man.
Thanks, Boyd. I appreciate it.
Wow, talk about a bro, man. Talk about a bro, man.
I was waiting for that.
Gavin,
I was waiting for that.
Gavin, are you still there?
I am.
Gavin, are you still there? Yeah,
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Friend, but yeah, I can hear you. We're out of time here, but please do a quick shout-out to your sponsors. I know you've had a lot of support. Sorry we had to rush you on this one.
No worries at all. Big thanks to Popeyes. These guys look after me every day of the week. I'm in there at least once a day. Optimal Wellbeing on Roby, Dr. Joanne Osborne. She keeps me on the mats. Robbie McDonald down at Nova Physio. Trevor Godin, my massage therapist. Pro Edge in Bedford. I'm doing my strength and conditioning there. I'm going at least twice a week. I'll be there again tomorrow morning at noon. If you guys want to come out and check out some hardcore workouts, maybe see me puke, you're more than welcome. Jack Cameron, who's always behind me, Jerome Wilson Titanium, and everybody at Titans MMA, Josh Wincey, Josh Presley, Joel Jakar, Stefan, Chris White, Pat Carroll, all the boys. I'm sorry I can't list everybody's names, and specifically my coaches that are there, Peter Martell, who's always on the mats with his students, showing him it doesn't take too much to get him excited about technique and rolling, and you couldn't ask for a better mind or a better brain to pick on technique. So I'm really grateful to have that resource to draw from, and thanks to you guys for having me on the show and getting me some exposure and letting me talk about the upcoming fights and maritime MMA and jiu-jitsu.
Awesome, brother. We'll if we don't see you before then, we'll see you in New Glasgow, and best of luck.
Okay, guys. Thanks. Take care.
Talk soon.
Thank you.
Not a bad way to kick off 2015, Rick.
Well, boy, I'm so excited over this whole thing, and we had I wish we could have had more guests on tonight to talk about this, but I hope everybody enjoyed the show. You listen to those two competitors, and, they're both coming hard. And I watched Gavin Tucker sitting today. He had a whole page full of notes that he had made during the day, and he wanted to work on that stuff tonight. This is pushing everybody to be their best. How great is this? Skip, what did you think of tonight?
Thought it was a great show. I want to give a big shout out to Kat, definitely. Submission Series 902, folks. Please go to Facebook and like their page, share it, show them some love, follow them on Twitter under Subseries 902. Remember, for those folks who don't live close enough to make this event and you live outside that region, you're going to be able to see this amazing event go down live and free. They're streaming it at MMAmadhouse.com. You guys can go over there and check it out. We've already got a little tab ready for it. You'll see the logo. Click on it. Please go out there and like and share their page. We need I think they're like 7 or 8 likes under 1,000. Let's try by next Monday to have them at 2,000, folks. Let's push really hard, because this is something the sport needs. It really does. It needs more guys who bring a series like this to where upper belted guys can really test themselves against a great, great table of athletes.
Yeah, I mean, did you hear when Chris was talking about the other places that are doing events like this? He mentioned London, and he mentioned Metamoris out of California, and I mean, that's where he's putting New Glasgow, Nova Scotia, right up there with those guys. So, Rick and I have spent a bit of time in and out and on the edges of the TV and entertainment world. And, both of us tip our hat to Kat and what he's been able to pull off in a reasonably short period of time. This was a real long shot, and it looks like he's going to knock it out of the park.
I'm really excited about the whole thing, and thanks to you, Skip, and all the guys, MMA Madhouse, for the support on this. We really appreciate what you guys, the coverage that you're giving in as well.
Listen, brother, Rick. Sorry. Go ahead, Skip. I got one thing to say right at the end.
I was just saying, we're pumped. Period. We're super ecstatic to be doing this.
Okay, I got a little piece of news to drop. Peter Martell and Wade Graves from ECC have given me permission to make an announcement that the biggest fight that could possibly happen in the Maritimes is in fact going to happen on February 28th. At ECC 23. Is it 23? I think it's 23. Richard Arsenault is going to fight Matt McGrath for the 170-pound title. That is a fight that has been talked about forever. They fought once before. Richard says it was a short-notice fight for him. It wasn't for Matt. He wasn't really prepared. He says he's going to knock him out. And I tell you, man, there's not a better fight if you're talking matching up two guys in Atlantic Canada, and to make it even sweeter, they're fighting for the island. They're fighting for PEI. Maybe we should do a leaves town type thing.
Okay, man, we are way over the time limit. You just blew my mind with that little nugget, Boyd. Folks, we're going to go up. We're going to go up to this 902 series, if you're interested in what we're going to try to do now that this match is made, come and talk to Boyd and I. If you've got companies that are interested in maybe helping this whole concept get off the ground, we have so much to talk about here. So let's make this happen. Please go on the BS Facebook page and like that. It is going to help attract attention to what we're going to try to do. Boy, we got 902 series. We now have this big fight named on the 28th. Things are going crazy in Atlantic Canada.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome, man. I think this is enough for 1 week, but we have enough stuff to talk about that we could do 3-hour shows probably 3 or 4 times a week right now, Rick. There's a lot of stuff coming down the pipe, and I'm super excited that Skippy and Carl are doing all these new things that they have planned for the MMA Madhouse. What would you call it? Network. That's the word I'm looking for. And the ideas that you and I have been chatting about for what we could do with the BS show, I think there's definitely lots of opportunities for us to work together to put together some really knockout content for streaming and for traditional radio and for just to get the word out about all the cool stuff that's happening here in Atlantic Canada.
Hey,
yeah, we're way over time. Stop babbling, Boyd.
Okay, and guys, it's glad to see you.
We're not over time? Skippy, what, we got 2 hours?
Yeah, I booked 2 hours. We got 44 minutes and 51 seconds left, Rick. Your girl, 5 of them, 2 of them, 8 of them, however many are there with you, they're going to still be with you in 5 more minutes. So, Boyd, it's wonderful to hear you and Rick back on the show. I've gotten responses all over the world tonight. They love this show, literally all over the world. People are just hitting me up. Killer show, great interviews. I can't wait to see what we do in 2015, and I'm honored to, do the backside of the show for you guys, and I will continue to watch you guys grow, man. And everybody get out there and follow both these guys, their show, everything. And I don't know what else to say other than thank you guys for everything, man.
Absolute pleasure, Skip. Well, as we say every week, that's enough BS for one night.
And remember to wear your sunscreen.
Welcome to the BS Show. Are you ready to shoot the... The BS Show would like to thank their sponsors. Jack Cameron, accredited mortgage professional. Jack can show you the way home. Graco Impact Sports, providing top-quality combat sport equipment tested and used by all levels of athletes. Dominate your world. RepoSales.ca, specializing in vehicle and equipment recovery, liquidation, and sales. Hemmings House Pictures, the global movement media makers, helping tell your brand story to the world and accelerate the momentum of your movement. Farmbox Films, capturing stories the way you want to remember them.